Mayor, we're ready when you are.
All right. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Cathedral City City Council. Today is Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026, and I will call this meeting to order. We'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then please remain standing for an invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez. Please stand, if able. Place your hand over your heart. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. I ask you to please bless each and every one of us, to give us the wisdom to address all items at hand, and to help us come to a decision that will benefit not just a few, but all of us. God, I also ask you to bring peace to the world, to heal all those who are ill, to comfort all those who have lost a loved one, to give us health, patience, and our daily bread, to remove stress from within us, to teach us all how to love each other, to bring us closer, and to deliver us from evil. Lord, I pray that you heal all those who are victims of war, and to protect those who are being persecuted. Jesus, it is in your gracious name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The next item on our agenda is roll call. City Clerk.
Councilmember Gordon,
Here.
Councilmember Lamb,
Here.
Councilmember Ross, Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez,
Here?
Mayor Gregory.
Here. And just as a reminder, our previous meeting, we did vote to excuse Councilmember Ross for an illness or recovery from an illness. All right, the next item on our agenda is agenda finalization. I know we did move some things around. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, Mayor. So item 2D from the study session was carried over into the regular session, and that will be considered at the end of the legislative agenda.
Thank you so much. Any other changes? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. The next item on our agenda is public comments. This is the time on our agenda for people to make public comments on items that are not on our agenda tonight. Just a reminder, it'll be limited to 3 minutes. We do have some rules about conduct, so please make sure there are no public outbursts during public comments. We don't allow clapping or booing or anything like that. We want everyone to feel welcome to come and make their public comments. And with that, I will turn it over to the city clerk to call on the speakers who have let her know that they wish to make public comments.
And Mayor, before I call on those speakers, just a reminder, if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand if you'd like to comment on items that are not on the agenda. Our first speaker is Paula Whittakin.
Come on up, Paula. It's your turn.
Ms. Whittakin, it's your turn.
If you could put the microphone just a little closer. All right, yes.
I'm short.
Thank you so
Better?
much. Perfect.
Okay. I know I only have 3 minutes, so I have a problem with a very invasive, destructive neighbor, and Justin is protecting him. Al Jimenez allowed him to put a driveway alongside of my house. The driveway is only 9 feet from my driveway. Justin says the driveway stays because it's 16 feet. I am asking that somebody from the city who is not controlled by Justin come over to my house with a tape measure and show me how 9 feet becomes 16 feet. Also, I can't sleep because of this garbage truck alongside of my house. Between 4:30 and 5 in the morning, he starts up this damn truck. I have rats because of the garbage truck. Again, Justin denies it. I've also had to put up a solar light because the rats have chewed all the lighting on the west side of my house. Within 48 hours, I received a form stating I had to remove that light. The whole neighborhood has these solar lights pointing at the street. Mine is in my backyard. Anyway, the main thing, I am requesting that this driveway be removed and put over to actually 16 feet where it's supposed to be, not alongside of my house. I have asked over and over. I'm being discriminated against, and Justin is outright lying. You don't even have to measure. When I was at the building department checking on this a year or so ago, they brought it up on the computer, and the young man at the building department looked at it and instantly said, "This driveway can't be allowed, it's too close." Yet Justin keeps saying it's at 16 feet. Will somebody please help? Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
I don't know what else to say except help.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Eric Castillo.
Welcome, Mr. Castillo.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here to speak today about the Development Code update that's currently underway. A big thank you first to city staff for hosting last month's open house at the library, and to Councilmember Lamb as well for attending. Look, I'm really excited about these updates, especially the positive effect that they'll have on making housing more affordable and expanding shade in the city, issues that matter a lot to me and I know matter a lot to so many others. However, on behalf of about 300 local residents who signed a petition opposing large-scale data centers, I'm here today to urge you to ensure that the final code explicitly lists large-scale data centers as a non-permissible development type. To show why so many neighbors are concerned, I want to briefly highlight 3 severe threats that data centers pose to our desert community's quality of life, especially when some of you express a lack of urgency or knowledge on the issue. And to be clear, that's not meant to be a dig at anyone. I really do firmly believe that one of the most honorable things you can do as a leader is to shift your thinking when new information is available to you. So I hope that you welcome this information. The first threat to quality of life is water scarcity. According to the Environmental and Energy Study Institute, a single medium-sized data center uses roughly 110 million gallons of water annually for cooling. In a desert environment, we can't afford this drain on our most precious resource. Second is grid strain and higher costs. They place immense demand on the electrical grid, spiking blackout risks during peak summer heat, where AC is a literal lifesaver. Furthermore, Bloomberg reports that wholesale electricity costs have surged up to 267% in some areas near data centers over the past 5 years, costs that are directly passed to consumers. Our city is one of working families, small businesses, and seniors on fixed incomes who can't afford such a burden. Third is extreme heat waste. A recent research study showed that data centers can warm surrounding land by anywhere from 3 to 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Adding more heat to summers that already breach 120 degrees is a direct public health issue. I do have confidence in the Planning Commission's ongoing revisions before the updated draft makes its way to you, but ultimately that final decision will rest with you. Please protect our community's water, power, and quality of life by taking the golden opportunity that we have now to ensure that large-scale data centers are banned in the updated code. And since I still have some time, lastly, you hear a lot when people are upset. I want to also call out moments that I, as a resident, and make me happy and proud. So I want to thank Councilmember Gordon for raising the issue at the last meeting. Leadership that's proactive rather than reactive is something that so many are so starved for and looking for in this moment. And hearing you raise that issue when it would have been much easier to say nothing at all was one of those moments. So thank you for that, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much.
The next speaker is David Bernard.
Welcome, Mr. Bernard.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, city staff, and members of the community. My name is David Bernard, and I serve as the Chief Operating Officer at C4. Before I discuss the recent weather event, I want to begin by acknowledging our responsibility as a member of this community. We recognize that being a good neighbor means more than complying with regulations. It means taking responsibility when concerns arise, listening to our community, and taking meaningful action to address those concerns. We understand the concern this incident created for our neighbors at Outdoor Resorts, and we sincerely appreciate the opportunity to address you this evening. Our first priority has always been the safety of our neighbors. Immediately following the incident, our team responded, secured the affected area, completed cleanup of all impacted areas, and communicated directly with the neighboring residents to answer questions, provide updates, and ensure the area was safe. Those actions reflect the responsibility that we have for our surrounding community. Our evaluation determined that the limited number of tempered glass roof panels experienced a failure due to a period of high temperatures and thermal expansion. While tempered glass is designed to break into small, less hazardous pieces, we recognize that tiny glass extending beyond our property line is unacceptable, regardless of the cause. Although this was an isolated event, we are taking additional proactive measures. We have already begun the process of installing a protective safety laminate on the eastern-facing roof panels. This enhancement is intended to help contain the glass in the unlikely event of a future panel failure and provide additional layers of protection for our neighbors. Throughout this process, we have remained in communication with the Outdoor Resorts community, the city staff, and officials. We also appreciate the city's prompt response following the incident. City code enforcement inspected our facility and found no code compliance issues or violations. C4 will remain available to hear community concerns and work collaboratively with our neighbors and the city whenever requested. We believe maintaining trust requires ongoing communication and responsible action. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council, for your time this evening and for the opportunity to address you. We appreciate your partnership and remain committed to being a responsible neighbor and an active member of Cathedral City community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
The next speaker is Kara Robinson.
Welcome, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor Gregory and members of the City Council. My name is Cara Robinson, and I'm a proud resident of Cathedral City, and I'm here tonight to ask you to take a proactive step as you finalize the city's Development Code update. The Development Code is one of the most important planning documents our city will adopt. It will shape how Cathedral City grows for decades to come. Because of that, I respectfully ask the city to include language that prohibits large-scale data centers within our city limits. Data centers are unlike traditional commercial or industrial development. They consume extraordinary amounts of electricity, require significant infrastructure, and often rely on substantial amounts of water for cooling. Nationally, data centers already account for approximately 4% of all U.S. electricity consumption, and that demand is expected to double or even triple over the next several years as artificial intelligence continues to expand. A single large facility can consume as much electricity as thousands of homes. Meeting those energy demands often requires costly upgrades, and those costs are frequently passed on to local ratepayers through higher utility bills. The families of Cathedral City should not be asked to subsidize the energy demands of some of the world's largest technology companies. Our seniors living on fixed incomes, working families, and small businesses are already struggling with rising utility costs. They should not have to shoulder even higher electric bills to support massive server farms. In a desert community where every drop of water matters, we should also carefully consider whether facilities with significant water demands are compatible with our long-term sustainability goals. We don't have to guess how other communities are responding. We can look right here in the Coachella Valley. Indio and Desert Hot Springs acted before a project was proposed. City leaders recognized the potential impacts and moved quickly to place a moratorium in place while pursuing a permanent prohibition. Coachella wasn't as fortunate. The city found itself responding to a large data center proposal that had already been submitted, forcing officials and residents to fight a project they never envisioned for their community. Those three cities offer us an important lesson. It is far easier to prevent an incompatible land use than it is to stop one after a proposal is already on the table. Cathedral City has the opportunity to learn from these experiences. We shouldn't wait until a proposal is submitted and our residents are forced to organize. Good planning means anticipating future challenges, not reacting after the fact. Our general plan emphasizes sustainability, responsible growth, environmental stewardship, and preserving the quality of life that makes Cathedral City such a special place to live. Large-scale data centers simply do not advance these goals. The Development Code is our opportunity to decide what Cathedral City will become. Tonight, I ask you to join our neighboring cities by making clear that large-scale data centers are not an appropriate land use for our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Mayor, that is all the speaker slips I have. We'll go ahead and move to Zoom. Deputy City Clerk?
Yes, we have two guest speakers on Zoom. The first speaker is Debbie Price. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, welcome, Debbie Price.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, brand new mayor to us and council members. I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm a board member of the Outdoor Resort Palm Springs, but I'm also an owner of a lot that is located directly behind where one of the multiple panels blew out of the C4 commercial building. I am not speaking for our board directly or indirectly, and all the following comments and statements are mine as the owner. The event that occurred last Wednesday evening, whether it be from a wind event or an explosion from the inside, is not the point. The point is that it shouldn't have happened at all. This commercial structure is not built to withstand whatever happened last Wednesday. The proof I have are the pictures and videos that I've received from multiple neighbors at our resort. There is still glass insulation and metal that came directly from the C4 event. My lot is directly behind one of the panels that failed. If any of us would have been in residence and outside, the outcome could have been catastrophic for us. The leftover debris that is still being cleaned up could have been picked up by a grandchild or a pet and caused grave damage. I'm not willing to accept that we will fix it and make it better because this should have been addressed prior to allowing the permit. You, as our voted upon leaders, did not look at the full picture prior to granting this permit, but you were the ones that allowed a commercial business of this caliber to be right next to, and again, far under the setback allowed by city code. Are you willing to bet your life 100% that this will not happen again? I would say not. Another neighbor of ours came back and opened up the RV and said they had to leave all the windows and doors open for several hours because of the unbearable smell of pot. Mr. Bernard, if you can still hear me, you promised us at our meetings 30 days from when we left that you would stop the smell. You have not kept your promise. Now you want us to agree to let him find the fix for this disaster? No one will buy any of our lots knowing upon disclosure by law that this event has occurred. If you don't stop this, you are each responsible for our financial losses for not doing what is right. I sincerely think that the only thing that is stopping you from filing an injunction to shut this down are the tax dollars, not our well-being or safety, and not considering any of our financial losses that have and will occur. Please help us and shut this down, and please do not allow a second building to be built. Our safety and happy way of life when we are here depend on it. And since Mr. Bernard showed up, I have 43 seconds. You did not clear up all the glass. It's still on our lots. It looks horrible. It was not safe. What happened should not have happened. There are 5 panels at least that are blown. And maybe that's a small amount for you, but not for us. And how do you know it's a one-time event? If you want to put down $1 million that can be paid out to all of us, if that happens again, go for it. It shouldn't have happened, period. There's no trust left, Mr. Bernard, and I'm sorry to say that. Thank you for your time, everybody, and it's good to see you, and hope to see you back in the summer, or in the spring, or in the winter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Price.
Okay, our next speaker is David O'Brien. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Welcome, Mr. O'Brien. Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Good evening. My name is David O'Brien, and I'm a Cathedral City resident. I'm asking the council to table item 8A, the purchase of 20 additional Flock license plate cameras. I'm grateful for our police department, and I want our community to be safe. But expanding a citywide surveillance system deserves more public discussion than this item has received. These cameras collect information on the movements of thousands of ordinary drivers, not just people suspected of crimes. That information can be searched and shared with hundreds of law enforcement agencies nationwide. Once that network exists, local decisions have consequences far beyond Cathedral City. Across the country, civil liberties organizations and journalists have documented instances of misuse, unauthorized access, and mission creep involving automated license plate reader systems. Whether or not you believe those risks outweigh the benefits, they deserve an open public conversation before committing to another 5 years. This expansion is being funded with cannabis tax revenue and appears on a supplemental agenda that many residents may never have seen. My husband and I moved to Cathedral City and became homeowners because it feels like a welcoming community. I don't think expanding a regional surveillance network without broader public input reflects those values. I'm not asking you to vote no tonight. I'm simply asking you to table this item, hold a public hearing dedicated to this issue, allow residents to ask questions and hear the answers, and then make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
We have one last speaker, Janet Ream. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Janet Ream, and I am a snowbird at outdoor resorts. And I want to appreciate that now we can not be there and you can still listen to me. Thank you very much for going to Zoom. I greatly appreciate that. The situation that happened the other night a week ago with the panels, it's on the same road that which we have property. And this is a situation that to me should have never happened either. I don't know if the engineering or whatever when the building was built was done wrong or it's just not strong enough. But I think there needs to be some kind of, if this place is going to remain there, which I'm not super informed of because of the smell that we put up with. But I'm just saying that this type of catastrophic possibility was there and it should not keep going. There's got to be more done, and I'm hoping the city will make sure that this happens or something else goes on, because we should not have to do this. Secondly, with the thing with the second building, I listened to C4 and their public meeting, and to me, I felt like it was just nothing but scripted, and they have not taken care of the smell that goes on. Maybe not on an hourly basis like it used to be, but it still goes on. And until such time as either that no longer exists or there is at 100% no smell coming out of building number 1, there should not be a building number 2 for any way, shape, or form. It is not fair to us. We've been putting up with this since the day they opened up, and still to this day. I found out this morning it was so bad in there that, and I'm getting daily reports as it comes and goes, that the smell is still there. This is not being done. And this isn't just at C4. I'm talking about throughout the city. There's still, down on Perez. The city has almost been a year since this ordinance was adopted, and we're still dealing with the same thing. C4 says that they have put up they have the odor detectors and stuff, but there's nothing there. It's still happening. And please take into consideration, we had a happy place. We don't anymore. At least we have not so far. Greatly appreciate all of your time, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, that concludes all our requests on Zoom.
All right, are there any written
I have none, Mayor.
comments? All right, then we will move on from public comments. The next item on our agenda is council reports, and we will begin with Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you. It has been a very exciting handful of weeks since we've been here. Just because the council hasn't convened doesn't mean we've stopped working. There's been a lot going on. Cathedral City is bustling in the summer as it is the rest of the year. In June, I went to the Mary Pickford movies for kids. If you haven't been, go watch them pick out a book, get a popcorn, and go to the movies. It is adorable, and they're so excited and so happy, and it's such a great thing for us to be able to do for the kids in our community. I also went to the DRD Splash Bash, which we heard a little bit about in the study session. Also something that was just delightful to watch, as our DRD colleagues told us. There were about 300 kids there, and they were having a blast. Our fire department had the engine out with the hose, and the kids got to spray with the hose. It was fantastic. Just, again, another great way that we're serving our community. I did ride along with Councilmember Lamb and the CVAG team. We met some formerly unhoused neighbors who have gotten temporary housing, and the services that they're receiving through CVAG and our partnership with them, as well, and they're right here in the building next to the Mary Pickford. These are people who are able to get insurance, health insurance, their identification, and other things that they need in order to really, sort of be productive in society, and that's a service that we are able to provide. We also met a resident who had been through quite a journey, and she is now permanently housed there She is looking for a job. She has some health challenges that she can get now resolved because she is housed. So these are the kinds of things that happen quietly behind the scenes that I think it's really important to share with you all. I met with the Coachella Valley Association of Governments Homelessness Committee, which brought together members from all of our desert cities to talk about things that are affecting that population. We had a presentation from the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission and Riverside County Probation, both of which are providing essential and exciting services to unhoused people across the valley. I attended a day of celebration where we had the ribbon cutting at the new Farmer Boys and the street chopper for Richard Altman. Great community turnout at both of those. Just a really exciting event. And then with all of the members of the council, we attended the General Assembly for CVAG, which was also great. It was nice to see representatives from, again, all of the cities in the valley to be able to talk about our accomplishments, the things that we've had happen, one of which was very exciting that Mayor Gregory called out, which is the sinking of the lights on Date Palm, which took the commute down Date Palm from 11 minutes to 7 minutes. So if you've noticed a difference, that's why. And really hearing from all of the communities in the valley about what's happening. In July, I have met with a number of staff members, including Mark Munzer, our new Community and Economic Development Director, to get to know him a little better. I participated in a ride-along with our Community Behavioral Assessment team. That is the team that is an officer that's paired with a licensed therapist. And the work that they are doing is nothing short of life-changing. We went on 2 calls to see residents who were having various stages of life events. And they didn't require, a traditional law enforcement response. These were responses that led with care, led with thoughtfulness, led with service. And the way that our CBAT team shows up in our community, I think, is something that's really unique and should be celebrated. I was incredibly impressed and moved. It's something that I will never forget, being able to accompany those officers and the work that they do in the partnership with Riverside County Behavioral Health. So I'm grateful that we have that, and I'm grateful that I've had that experience. We, along with our city manager, we had 3 meet and greets at Heritage Park, Terracina, and my own community of Campanile. Got to meet all kinds of residents, hear about what they love about Cathedral City, what they're worried about in Cathedral City. And at the meet and greet in Campanile, Commander Hanley from the police department and Chief Contreras joined us as well. And that really, my neighbors were very excited to hear from them about specifically public safety. So always grateful for that collaboration. And then last Friday, I was invited to attend the Police Explorers SWAT experience at Desert Hot Springs High School. I was only able to go for a little while, but it was really cool. They had a helicopter land from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. The Explorers are the high school students that are doing this program, and they got to experience all different kinds of things. The high school has an actual sort of emergency response program there, and so there's a facility where they've actually they can do fire and EMS and police response, public safety response training. So the kids got to experience that. It was very exciting. And I think that's about it. I just, sort of in summing all of this up, I want to thank police and fire in particular for all the work they do, especially in the summertime, because they're out there. We can dress however we want, and they are out there in heavy gear with no complaint or regard to their own comfort, to make sure that we are safe, we are cared for, that our community is being cared for and is protected. And I just really want to appreciate that. So thank you. That's it.
Very nice. Thank you for your comments. Next up is Councilmember Lamb.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to refer to Councilwoman Gordon when she talked about our visits and our tour with the CVAG, and it was through the Coachella Valley Housing First. And you know, you explained it beautifully. It was remarkable how unique and each family is, and their needs and their capacity for getting through the whole process, because on their own they would not be able to do that. So it's a fabulous partnership. Tom Kirk was there, who's the CEO of CVAG, and he was able to assist us and you know, explain a little bit more about how the program works in that collaboration. So thank you for bringing that up. I did have a chance to go to the City Council chambers when we had the commission recognitions, and it was, you know, for the different commissions and committees that we have for the city. And the reality is, you know, they're all volunteers who put in countless hours to make decisions and read the agendas and talk amongst themselves, and make the best decisions they possibly can based on the information at hand. And so thank you to all of you. I was honored to be part of it. I did have an opportunity to go to CV Rep, and I wanted to just acknowledge what a wonderful, phenomenal resource this is. And whoever had the idea of an art and entertainment district years ago, when I was just a resident of the city, I am so appreciative of it. They have a cabaret series, and we've been in and out of town, so we haven't been able to attend all of them, but we did attend the one with Emily Skinner, and Emily Skinner is a Broadway star in talent, and she just brought the house down. It was fabulous. So it's right here. Take advantage of it. I have been in contact with Jay Seller, because if they've expanded their opportunities at CV Rep, they need to work on some kind of entrance and egress to their properties, and I know they're talking with engineering staff about that. I wasn't able to attend the Do the Right Thing presentations, but one of our Cathedral City students, Valentina Placencia, and I wanted to make sure I said her name out loud, because she was honored during that ceremony, and that's spearheaded by Andy Mills, who's the police chief in Palm Springs, but we're always part of it. And I did attend the Desert Rats, their field day at our Cathedral City Library. And the Desert Rats, I typed it out because I always forget. It stands for Desert Radio Amateur Transmitting Society. And they were joined by our Cathedral City Fire Department, because when we think of ham radio operators, I always think of emergencies, and they are wonderful collaborators with our fire department and emergency staff. But they also have all sorts of, they're hobbyists, and they have evolved into this very organized technical group. So I invite any of you, when they have their field day next year, to go, because you can go from booth to booth and table to table, and they show you exactly what they're doing and how it's done, and it's really remarkable. It's a wonderful resource for our residences. I also, as Eric pointed out, I was at the Development Code Town Hall at the library, and it was interesting. And the best part of it is that we get the input from the residents, those people that are interested enough to even know what the Development Code is, and to take time out of their Saturday to come down and see what the presentations were. It's really valuable, because we get to know what your concerns are. So thank you. I did attend dinner with Patsy at La Tablita, which is always so much fun, and that organization is absolutely wonderful as a nonprofit. And we were there suffering through eating fabulous Mexican food to benefit the Boys and Girls Club. And they also, Patsy also handed a $500 check to Chief Sanchez to support the shopping with the cops at Christmas time. And I think they usually go to Target. And anyway, it's a great evening, and that's a great collaboration between the Boys and Girls Club and our police department. So thank you. Also, I attended the Cathedral City Food Bank. It operates every Monday morning until 11 a.m. And I was there about 10:15, and at 11 a.m. there was still a line out the door. So the need in our community is high. When you walk in, it's like walking into Trader Joe's. I mean, it's a fabulous system. The volunteers all have their aprons with their names on them. Alvaro, he greets people. Sharon checks you in. And in between them, there are over 40 volunteers who, help you look at the tables and find out what food offerings there are. I happened to meet a brand new resident. His name is Leo Ramos, and he was being taken on a tour of the food bank by Bob, who's the volunteer manager and does such a sensational job. But he and his partner are recent residents to the Cove in Cathedral City, where my husband and I live, and they were very involved in their community, and now they want to be involved, and they might want to be involved in the senior center. So thank you to that. And I also, I'm one of those boring types, and I listen to all those committee and commission meetings on Government Access Channel 17. I've got it running all the time. I probably need another life, but this is the one I've got, and I love it. So I watched the whole Planning Commission meeting about the AutoZone from start to finish, and got everybody's input. And I'm so, and this really goes back to highlighting the work of the commissioners, because the detail, the knowledge that they had of their packets, all the minutia about the AutoZone, from the facade to the plantings to the time of operation and how it's going to move through and how it's going to be impacted in that center right now. That was really, really interesting. And I was, Don Camps gave the presentation, and Dom is moving on. I heard that at our meeting this week, that Dom is not going to be with the city. And I was heartbroken, because she does a fabulous job. And I know from all of us, we wish her well. And I also, as I was going upstairs to meet with Andy and for our weekly meeting in preparation for this council meeting, I saw Victor. And Victor was going to be leaving us too. So I'm heartbroken. I'm thrilled for us that we had those wonderful people working on the city staff for as long as we did, and they've got wings and they're off, so that'll be that. And I did want to say that I know Joanne Kennan is here, and she's going to be spearheading the Field of Valor again this year. And out of my council funds, I have allocated $500 of my council funds to go towards supporting that. And if any other council members are interested in, giving support to that, because has wonderful ideas on how to expand it, and it celebrates our veterans and recognizes them. And I got to vote on the mural design for Esperanza Park, and that's it. Done.
All right, that's a lot. Thanks so much for those remarks. Next up is Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since we met. It's been hot out there, and the older I'm getting, the more difficult I'm finding it to actually get accustomed to this weather. And even though it's been a couple of weeks, we still stay busy, as mentioned by our council members. But I did have family who stayed with me for 2 weeks, and I had to do all the entertaining, so you know what that is like. I completed some of my real estate continuing education courses. I also watched some of the World Cup games. Many of you might have watched them as well. And I also did a lot of paperwork. Some of you might know that I'm running for reelection, so I did some of the paperwork that I needed. And this time off from city council meetings has also given the opportunity to our staff to actually catch up on some of the things that they're not able to work on during regular city council meetings. So that gives them the opportunity to catch up to everything they need to do so. And I have had the opportunity to actually meet with our city manager and also met with a local developer who had a couple of issues regarding one of his developments here, and I was able to talk to him about it. And a different developer called me regarding a future development within our city. I talked to him and also guided him and provided information to our city staff. And I received a phone call, of course, again, from residents regarding code enforcement issues. And other residents have called me regarding questions about ADUs. I guided them in the right direction, and I did address their needs. Unfortunately, I did receive a phone call from a local business owner whose business suffered a fire. It's one of the local sushi restaurants here, one of our favorites. And the mayor and myself have had lunch there a couple of times. And I spoke with our city manager. He guided me as to how to help him. And I did contact him. And he met with our city staff, and he called me. He was so appreciative of our staff and everything that we did and how he's been helped, that he wanted to let us know that he truly appreciates our assistance. And I did not get the opportunity to attend the ribbon cutting for Farmer Boys, but I did go afterwards, and the restaurant was really busy, and the food was delicious. This is another great business addition to our city, and hopefully there'll be more to come. Our entire city council, of course, attended the annual Coachella Valley Association of Governments Assembly, and I did meet with some of our cannabis business owners and managers who wanted to discuss a couple of items regarding the cannabis industry. And other residents contacted me, and they expressed their issues regarding our city, which is they're consistent with speeding vehicles, code enforcement, and our road conditions. And I was able to talk to them and to address, and I told them that we'll continue to work and solve their issues. And what else did I do here? Well, lastly, Cathedral City Police Officers Association is having their backpack giveaway this coming Saturday. Is that correct? And that will be from 11 to 2 o'clock. If you have kids that are going back to school, they do an unbelievable job. It's not just getting a backpack. They also, at times, they get bike helmets, they get books, they get many other things, and also they have the opportunity to actually get in some of those water slides. Last time, I think they had 2 or 3. They get waters, they do so much, and the police department does such a great job for our residents. Last time, I'm sure that you probably gave away 150 to 200 backpacks. It was unbelievable to see all the families and kids just getting in line and getting all these books and backpacks and everything else. So you guys do an unbelievable job. And for those residents who have kids, please attend 11 to 2 o'clock this coming Saturday and bring some shorts and a towel. You might get wet. At the amphitheater, yes. And one more thing. This past July 4th, we celebrated our nation's 250th anniversary. Our nation is not perfect, but it's one of the greatest nations in the world when we continue to try to improve ourselves. Happy 250th anniversary to the United States of America. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Everyone was busy. Yeah, it's been a long time since our last meeting. It was actually June 10th. It was our summer break, but as has already been pointed out, there's no such thing as a break when you're on city council. I'll start with some of the outside agencies. The Riverside County Transportation Commission, which I represent the city, they're also on break in July, but events still happened. So I did attend what's called the Mid-County Parkway, also known as the Ramona Expressway, kind of in the Hemet out to San Jacinto and Nuevo communities and beyond. There's a massive project there that's being funded by the Riverside County Transportation Commission to expand that. That's a very dangerous section of road, was two-way road with no separation. They're adding lanes, but also a separation, and involves actually building a new bridge over the San Jacinto River there. So they had a groundbreaking attended by a number of members of the California legislature, some of the California Transportation Agency people there, and others. As the chair, I was the Masters of Ceremonies and also spoke at that event. So, but the commission has no meetings, has no regular meeting this month. They actually do have a meeting next week in preparation for meetings in August. For the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, has already been mentioned, all of us attended the General Assembly that was at Fantasy Springs. In that meeting, they appointed the chairman for the new year. They go by July 1st to June 30th as their year. It's Joey DeConnick. He is the representative from the city of Blythe. I have already been notified that the new chair, Joey DeConnick, appointed me to the Administration and Personnel Committee, understanding that I will only be here through the end of the year. But so I've been appointed to that committee by the chair. I also attended that same day meeting of the CVAG Executive Committee, and twice in our break, CVAG held the meetings for their funding ad hoc committee, which I also serve on. I also attended a meeting of the Visit Greater Palm Springs Board. That was very nice at the Ritz-Carlton in Rancho Mirage. And then just earlier today, I filled in for Councilmember Ross, who is our city representative on Sunline, attended a committee meeting and the Sunline Transit Agency meeting. As the mayor, it was mostly fun things. I also was able to participate in one edition of the summer movie series. It's already been described as a great event. You get to give out popcorn and books, and the kids get to see a movie. They saw K-pop Demon Hunters on the one that I was there, so it was very well attended. And a lot of very excited kids, a lot of them dressed up with the movie T-shirts, or they had little stuffed dolls and all kinds of things. I also attended the ribbon cutting at Farmer Boys, the revelation of the sign topper for Richard Altman, which we've shared before, was a great event because it's a quasi-city event, but it was sponsored by a member of the community and brought forward by the community. So that's always better when the community also recognizes some of their members. I did attend Ethel's Place Bingo at the Roost. Thank you, Ryan Hunt, who was also there. It was a benefit for the LGBT Center, but most especially, and we were able to declare July 12th Ethelina Kahn Day. It was her birthday, and so she raises a lot of money for a lot of charities here in Cathedral City and the region. So thank you again, Ryan, and Communications Events for preparing a proclamation and setting that up. It was a pleasure to be able to do that. I also had, of course, several meetings, phone calls, emails, the normal that you would expect in that few weeks period. Just mention some things in the community. I was the co-leader this year of the Safe Schools Desert Cities summer camp up in Angeles Oaks. That was a 4-day, 3-night camp with teenagers, so I don't have to say any more. I was exhausted after that. I also did attend a Dinner with Patsy event at Tony's Burger. Safe Schools Desert Cities was the beneficiary there. And bingo with Patsy at the Luchador, where the check was presented. I saw Councilmember Gordon there. So a number of events. I did get away to Big Bear for a week and spent a weekend in San Diego, so I did have a vacation during the break, but most of it was spent here as it should be, doing work for the city or for some of the organizations we represent. So I was going to talk about the backpack giveaway, so thank you, did a very good job. I will mention that if Councilmember Lamb is going to donate $500 to the Fields of Valor from her council fund, so will I. So we'll just throw down that challenge for any of you others that want to do that.
I donated
Oh,
$1,000.
she already did 1,000 out of her money. All right. All right, and just to mention that our next meeting, we are kind of back on a more regular schedule. We will be a little bit adjusted in the fall, primarily to get around Labor Day, and we will have a League of Cities meeting that will cause us to be a little off schedule. But our next meeting, if you want to mark your calendar, is Wednesday, August 12th. As you all already have heard, we have adopted to the change in state law, and people are now allowed to make comments online. So make sure if you can't make one of it, we prefer to see your smiling face here if you want to make a comment. But if you can't, there is a way for you to make comments online when an item is called or during our non-agenda item period. And that information is at the top of all of your agendas. So make sure you'll hit that. And with that, I will conclude my comments. Thank you all, Council, for sharing all that you've done and for staying busy even when we're on break. All right, the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda, items 3A through P. So catch a breath, City Clerk. I'm going to ask you to read the agenda, the consent agenda items.
Yes, Mayor. Item 3A is waive full reading of ordinances on the agenda. Item 3B is the Commissioner Committee member attendance record. Item 3C is approval of the study session and regular meeting minutes of June 10th, 2026. Item 3D is the check demand for May 2026. Item 3E is the check demand for June 2026. Item 3F is the notice of completion for the Whitewater Area Street Rehabilitation Project Phase 2, C02610. Item 3G is the notice of completion for the Sunny Sands Neighborhood Pavement Rehabilitation and Cathedral Canyon Drive Street Rehabilitation Projects, C02612 and C02613. Item 3H is the notice of completion for the Cypress Road and Centuro Drive Retention Basin Project. Item 3I is the notice of completion for the Cathedral Canyon Drive Sidewalk Project, C02608. Item 3J is the notice of completions for the construction of the Cathedral City Mountain Cathedral's Entryway Monument Project, C02601. Item 3K is the notice of completion for the Dream Homes Neighborhood Crack Repair Project, C02611. Item 3L is the ratification of the agreement between the City of Cathedral City and the Cathedral City Firefighters Association. Item 3M is approve a resolution adopting the updated citywide salary schedule. Item 3N is to accept the fiscal year 2025 Emergency Management Performance Grant. Item 3O is to accept the 2026-2027 California Highway Patrol Cannabis Tax Fund Grant Program. Item 3P is to purchase of police vehicles for the Clinical Behavioral Health Assessment Officer using opioid settlement funds. And that concludes our consent agenda.
Thank you so much. And if those of you in the audience didn't get a chance to read some of those notices of completion, you'll see that all or nearly all, there might have been one that came back right at the budgeted, but most of them, those were completed below budget. So it's worth mentioning the hard work that our engineering department does to make sure the projects are done right, but also keep them within the budget and coming back below budget. I believe there is a correction on the amount on 3P on the purchase of the police vehicle for CBAT. If I could ask the city manager or the police chief, if you could please correct the amount, because I know there was some issues with the use tax.
Yes, Mayor. So we have two revised invoices for item 3P, one for Dana Safety and the other for Dell. These make minor changes to each purchase. The Dana Safety invoice increases the purchase by $488.57. That accounts for sales and use tax, as well as a minor change to the line item. The invoice for Dell is increased by $239.07, which also accounts for sales and use tax and an environmental fee that was not captured in the previous invoice. The total increase is $727.64, increasing the purchase amount from $63,381.07 to $64,108.71.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? Are there any public comments on the consent agenda?
Mayor did not receive any requests to speak forms. If you're a mayor on Zoom, please raise your hand if you have a comment. And I see none, Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. If there is nothing else, then we would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I will move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez. Please vote. Mayor Pro Tem, do you see the vote option?
I don't see it.
If you'd like to verbalize your vote,
Yes.
that's an aye. Motion carries, all ayes.
Oh, there it was.
Just buried. All right. Thank you so much. Going to move on with our agenda. We have a couple of public hearings tonight. The first is item 4A, AB 2561, employee vacancies and recruitment and retention, a public hearing. And I'll ask the city manager to introduce the item.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is an annual requirement of the city, and Lydia Bloma is here this evening to give this presentation. Thank you, Mayor. Lydia?
Welcome, Lydia.
Thank you. Good evening. It's nice to see you all. So like our city manager said, I'll be going over AB 2561, which is our public hearing on city vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. During my presentation today, I'll give you a quick recap on the requirements for AB 2561. We'll go over our current vacancy status as well as the positions per bargaining unit. I'll provide you some of the recruitment efforts and retention efforts that we have here at our agency, as well as the next steps should we need any moving forward. So what is AB 2561? This is an annual obligation under Government Code 3502.3, and it requires that a public agency present the following before a governing board at least once per fiscal year. That's the status of vacancies, recruitment and retention efforts, and any policy and procedural changes. Also, if the governing board will adopt an annual or biannual budget, the presentation must be done before the adoption. We are currently on our second year of the budget, and therefore that doesn't apply to us. Furthermore, if there is a threshold of 20% of the vacancy rate, we are required to have additional presentations that we need to have, additional policies, but at this time we are well under the threshold of 20%, so those do not apply to us at this time. As you can see here on our vacancy statuses, they all are under the 20%. Our highest right now is police officers with 13.16%. But I do want to point out that we have at least 3 conditional offers out at the moment, which means that as soon as these candidates pass all of the requirements, including physical and psychological exams, we'll be able to formalize a start date. So we should have these positions filled hopefully within the next month or so. On my next slide, you'll see a breakdown of the positions that are vacant right now. I do want to point out that these positions are in different stages of the recruitment process. It can be anywhere from interviews, selection process, conditional offers. We do also have some conditional offers in our non-rep section, so they are at different stages, and it's a work in progress right now. So here are some of our recruitment initiatives. Of course, how we are attracting qualified candidates. As you've known, we streamlined our application process a few years back, being able to bring in applicants, sometimes even schedule interviews and testing, chief's interviews and background when it allows on the same day. So that's a really good feedback that we've received from our candidates. We've established this process in our fire department a few years ago, and we had just started with our police department, bringing in a group of candidates to interview and go to background on the same day. The next goal is to be able to streamline this process with our city hall positions as well. We have public service motivation messaging, which is enhanced communication about the rewards and impact of public service careers. And what better way than show this than word of mouth, right? Being able to go out to the community and talk about what we do here at our agency. Right now, our police and fire department do this by visiting the different schools, the high schools, and recent college graduates and academy graduates, and really tell them what we do here at our agency. We have enhanced marketing and outreach, so strategic job postings across multiple platforms. That includes government jobs, LinkedIn, and our social media accounts. We have increased presence at regional careers fair, with our biggest ones being the Fantasy Springs Casino, as well as College of the Desert, and we participate in that one twice a year. We've also attended the Equality Wine Fest in Palm Springs, as well as the Transgender Health and Wellness Fair, which was in Palm Springs as well. We target local community outreach programs, again, by our departments visiting the community and different school sites here within our region. We have expanded social media recruitment campaigns, and we try to advertise in all social media accounts, not just City Halls, but even if our position is non-safety, we pass it on to our safety departments and ask them to share as well. We have engagement with professional networks and associations, especially for hard-to-fill positions such as planning. We advertise with the American Planning Association or Public Works Association. And I do want to point out that these marketing and outreach strategies is a partnership with departments. We get together to see how we can collaborate and really get the word out for recruitment. And then retention strategies, because recruitment is only half the job. We also want to keep our employees happy and retain them. So some of these are career development pathways. We have structured advancement opportunities in the police department, career progression in fire department, and at City Hall, we have series advancement and promotional opportunities. We have employee recognition, both formal and informal. We are currently working on a formal program. We're working with the department heads to be able to accomplish our goal, A4 of the strategic plan, and that's to formalize a program like this. But we do have, for the time being, informal programs, which allows us to highlight an employee or a team of employees who have come together to finish a project or have done something above and beyond their regular job duties. And this is typically done at the city manager's quarterly meetings. We have professional development, so expanded training opportunities and tuition support for employees pursuing continuing education. Right now, our departments each have their own training budget where they can send their employees to conferences or different trainings that they would see fit. But we also have some trainings that we offer here at the city. So one of our biggest ones being the LCW Employment Relations Certificate. Right now, we have about 15 employees who are participating and 4 members who have completed the program already. This requires for the employees to complete 8 classes within a time frame of 3 years in order to earn the certificate. And we also have the Analyst Boot Camp. We just started this program. It's a 6-month program running from May through November. We have 9 staff members from different departments participating, and it provides participants with hands-on experience working through real-life government issues, just like you see noted here. And aside from that, we also have programs like our Target Solutions, which all employees have access to. They have over 700 different courses that employees can log in and really take these classes at their own pace. And a couple more retention strategies. Of course, we have a comprehensive health benefits. It's a very hefty package. We offer retirement planning and work-life balance to support our employees. We recently had our benefits fair earlier this year, which was very well-liked, so we're hoping to continue that, whether it's virtual or in person. And we also sent out a survey to our employees to see what they're really looking for during our next open enrollment period. And we have a class and comp study underway. We're still in the process of getting all that together, but it will really show us where we are as far as aligning with the market and making sure that we stay competitive. We offer flexible work arrangements, including alternative scheduling options such as 410 and 980s, and of course, our regular review of our policies and making sure we stay up to date and current best practices with our last review in May of last year. And that is all the information I have for you. At this time, we believe that our strategies are working effectively, and we have no additional measures at this time, but I am open to any questions.
All right, thank you so much for that excellent presentation. Council, any questions before I open the public hearing? I see Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez.
Hello. Well, thank you for your presentation. One quick question. We have 13.6% approximately in vacancy in our police department, and you have 3 potential candidates. Once those candidates, if everything works out, are hired, what would that percentage drop to?
I wish I was that fast with math, but I can't give you the number. I did want to point out, though, that those positions, very rarely are they from employees leaving our agency. It's mostly a chain that follows once a promotion is made within the department, so they start moving up, creating these vacancies. And also, one of the vacancies is from new funds that we received as of this fiscal year, so it's something that we added. But I can give you that number.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell him to get his calculator out and do it himself. Let's see, 38, so that would leave 2, so then it would be 5.26315%. All right. Thank you. All right, Councilmember Gordon.
I'm not going to tell you to get anything out yourself. I just wanted to thank you for the creative ways that you're approaching recruitment and retention. And I saw the team at the Equality Wine Fest, and I was pleasantly surprised. You all had the best giveaways. And I think, being able to do that, as well as pointing to things like professional development, really are valuable, particularly in this market where there are so many people looking for jobs, and we have to remain competitive so that we can get the best people in those jobs. So I just wanted to thank you for all that you all are doing to think creatively, because we are a small city with a small budget. And so finding creative solutions to get the right people in the right spots really is what's going to make us as a city continue to shine. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. You had it? Do you want to? Yeah. All right, we'll forgive you and we'll count on Councilmember.
And I just wanted to echo, thank you for doing all that you do. And I usually go out to the one Fantasy Springs, and Cathedral City is represented beautifully, and it's crawling with people that need jobs and want jobs.
Definitely the busiest.
Yeah, it's really a very active and vital part. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's no other council questions, I'll open the public hearing and ask for any public comments. City Clerk.
Mayor, did not receive any request to speak forms. If you're a member on Zoom and would like to speak, please raise your hand. And I see none, Mayor.
All right, then I will close the public hearing and return it back to council for further questions, comments, or a vote.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Please vote. Motion carries. All ayes.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to our next public hearing. I will remind the council that this one has a number of resolutions and other items that must be approved separately, so be prepared when we get to that point, and I'll have a very formal script to read, so don't be surprised. This item is to CFD 2006-1. It's that IA number 23, Formation, Election, and Ordinance Public Hearing. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is related to our Services Community Facilities District and also Forest Lawn. There is a lot in this item, and both Patrick Bumstead as well as our city clerk will step as council through this item. So Patrick, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, good evening. So as the City Manager said, my name is Patrick Bumstead, Senior Analyst, and I'm going to present the Community Facilities District 2006.1 Improvement Area 23 for Forest Lawn. There we go. So a little bit of background regarding our Community Facilities District. It was brought to council as a result of a goal-setting session in January 2025, and through a series of process, it was established in October 2006, hence the name 2006-1. And then we had our first annexation and improvement area in December of 2006. To date, we've had 20 improvement zones annexed into our Community Facilities District, and tonight, with your approval, Forest Lawn will continue the process of being the 21st zone annexing in.
Thank you so much. So Patrick, I'm going to stop you for just a second because I realize I'm already off script. So just stay right there.
Sure.
And say this is the time and place for the public hearing for the proposed formation of this improvement area number 23. As you've already outlined, the public hearing is hereby officially opened. They want me to open this one now. And we're going to hear your presentation about that, and then we're going to receive comments and questions and any oral protests from any interested persons. When all those comments have been received, we will close the public hearing, but the city clerk has a part that she's supposed to add.
Thank you, Mayor. Notice of the public hearing has been published in accordance with the Mello-Roos Community Facilities Act of 1982, and proof of such publication is on file in the city clerk's office.
All right, thank you very much. My apologies, Patrick, if you could please continue.
Certainly. So, let's discuss the full, complete process for somebody to annex in and this process for Forest Lawn. Step one already occurred back on our previous meeting of June 10th, where we had the petition and waiver from property owners to establish the improvement area. We had a resolution of intention by the city to form the improvement zone. We established and published the boundary map that you'll see shortly on in my presentation. And then there was a rate and method of apportionment applicable to the improvement zones, which ties into our fiscal impact, which will be discussed also. Step two of the process is here tonight, where we will have a resolution of formation and establishment of the validity of our prior proceedings back on June 10th, a resolution calling for a special election, a resolution where we will canvass the results of that special election, and the introduction and first reading of ordinance authorizing special tax. Next month in August, step three will occur during our council meeting on August 26th, where the second reading of the ordinance will occur and a notice of special tax lien. So this is the boundary map that has been published that I spoke of. You'll see there in this, mostly the center outlined in the black little squares. This is the improvement zone made up of 2 APN numbers. Currently, the building that ties into this facility district is proposed in the lower middle portion of that smaller rectangle. But if the plans were to change and the building were to be built in the other APN number, it would still be included in this improvement area that encompasses both APN numbers. Okay. So the fiscal impact. The non-retail industrial development is, the tax is 15.88 cents per square foot. This improvement area is made up of 12,000 square feet of new structures, reception areas, chapel, restroom, etc. Other type of uses that do not have sales tax generation. And like I said, so 12,000 square feet times the 0.1588 per square foot is an annual levy of $1,905.60. As I'd mentioned before, this is a specific plan. So if the square footage were to change, they built less square footage, they built more square footage, the annual levy would change as well because they will be taxed on the actual square footage that does get built. So this meets Goal C, fiscal stability and sustainability. And our recommendation here tonight, City Council of the City of Cathedral City, acting on behalf of Improvement Area Number 23 for Forest Lawn of the City of Cathedral City Community Facility District 2006-1, adopt the following: a resolution of formation determining the validity of prior proceedings regarding Resolution 2026-22, the resolution of intention, a resolution calling for a special election, resolution canvassing the results of the special election, introduce the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the levy of a special tax. And I'm open to questions.
All right, thank you very much for that presentation. The next thing we will take are any oral protests or public comments. Are there any oral protests of anyone present or any public comments of anyone present? Are there any public comments of anyone online?
If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. And I see none, Mayor.
All right. So now we will take questions or discussion by members of the city council. Are there any members of the city council that have questions or wish to discuss this item?
No, none.
All right, seeing none, before I formally close the hearing, is there any property owner subject to the proposed special tax wishing to file a written protest? If so, that must be filed with the city clerk at this time. For the purpose of a majority protest, only written protests are to be considered.
I see none, Mayor.
All right, so the public hearing is hereby closed. And now it's time to vote. So I ask, do I have a motion to adopt the resolution approving the formation of the district?
Move to approve.
I second.
Okay. We'll do a roll call vote for these.
Okay,
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Roll call, Councilmember Gordon.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez.
Yes.
Mayor Gregory.
yes,
Motion carries, all ayes.
thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution calling a special election?
Move to approve.
I second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Roll call vote, Councilmember Gordon.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez.
Yes.
Mayor Gregory.
Yes.
Motion carries, all ayes.
At this time, I hereby direct the city clerk to tabulate the ballot and announce if 2/3 of the votes cast upon the question of levying the tax are in favor of levying the tax.
Mayor, 2/3 of the votes cast upon the question of levying the tax are in fact in favor of levying that tax.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution canvassing the results of the special election?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Gordon and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Roll call vote, Councilmember Gordon.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez.
Yes.
Mayor Gregory.
Yes.
Motion carries, all ayes.
Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance authorizing the levy of a special tax?
I move to approve.
Second.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, Councilmember Gordon.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez.
Yes.
Mayor Gregory.
Yes.
Motion carries, all ayes.
Will the city clerk please conduct first reading of the ordinance authorizing the levy of a special tax by title only?
This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cathedral City, acting as a legislative body of the Community Facilities District Number 2006-1, Law Enforcement, Fire, Paramedic, Park Maintenance, and General Maintenance Services of the City of Cathedral City, authorizing the levy of a special tax within said district.
Thank you very much. That concludes the item. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. All right. Is everyone still okay to continue, or do we need a short break? All right, we're going to, with that onerous task upon us, we are going to take a little break, and we'll be back at 6:55 p.m.
Mayor, we're ready when you are.
All right, I'm calling this meeting back into session. Please take your seats. Moving on with the calendar, we're now on the legislative calendar. Item 5A, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager and financial services director to act as the official designees for the Proposition 64 Public Health and Safety Grant Program. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an exciting item. This is a $4.5 million grant that the city is receiving. And the item tonight, this is not for the purchase, the procurement of everything that is part of the grant, but this is the step needed in order to accept that grant, but to be able to take those next steps.
Good. So that's actually a big question because just to be clear, the item is adopting a resolution, and there's some that are assuming that means we're authorizing all of these expenditures.
Correct.
Because there's a spending, we would call it a tentative spending plan attached.
Correct. So I do want to make that clear that where there are purchases under this grant, that there are procurement processes that we must follow. And where those purchases are greater than the city manager's authority, those will come back to city council. So tonight, we are focused merely on the acceptance of the grant and taking those next steps for us to execute the documents related to the grant.
All right, thank you.
So with that,
We can touch back on that later because there'll probably be some more questions just to clarify.
Sure.
But
And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Eric Bezariel, who will be giving the presentation. Eric.
Thank you. Welcome, Eric.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Here today, I'm presenting a resolution authorizing the city manager and financial services director to serve as the city's official designees for the Proposition 64 Public Health and Safety Grant Program. This action will authorize them to accept the grant and execute all documents necessary to administer the award. So some background on this. In February 2026, the Board of State and Community Corrections released Proposition 64 Cohort 4 for proposals, making $125 million available to California cities and counties. At that time, the city looked at the program and the application and decided to move forward with taking a little bit deeper dive as to how the program could support and address the public health, public safety, and environmental impacts associated with cannabis legalization. So recognizing this was an opportunity to bring state resources to our community here in Cathedral City, the city went forward with submitting a comprehensive multi-department grant application in collaboration with California Consulting. And I am pleased to report that on June 25th, 2026, Cathedral City was awarded the full $4.5 million requested through this highly competitive statewide grant program. This award reflects collaborative efforts in multiple departments and the long-term investments that are going to be placed in this community. So the grant supports a coordinated multi-department effort, and it involves the police department, fire department, code compliance, information technology, financial services, and other departments. The city's implementation strategy is organized in 4 project purpose areas. And as are noted here on the screen, the main 4 project purpose areas are public safety and enforcement, public health, youth development and prevention, and environmental impacts. Now, in the next few slides, I will just briefly touch on them, and there is a more detailed budget breakdown in the staff report. First, for the public safety and enforcement, the grant's going to strengthen public safety and cannabis enforcement capabilities by increasing staffing, modernizing enforcement technology, and expanding emergency response capacity. Below are noted some of the items that, as you mentioned, are part of the tentative budget. Next, PPA2 is public health. And this grant will improve public health by enhancing the city's ability to identify, monitor, and respond to hazardous conditions associated with cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, and extraction facilities. Again, below are some of those, some of the items noted in the tentative budget. Youth development and prevention. The grant will help reduce youth exposure to illegal cannabis activity by increasing enforcement and surveillance in certain areas where children and families live, attend school, and recreate. And lastly, PPA 4, the grant will improve and advance environmental monitoring tools to help the city identify odor sources, improve regulatory compliance, and reduce the environmental impacts associated with cannabis operations. So for the fiscal impact, the city will receive $4.5 million in grant funding from the state of California through the Board of State and Community Corrections. There is no general fund match required for this award. The grant agreement extends from July 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2031, providing 5 years for implementation, which is also followed by a 6-month evaluation period that's required by the state. This funding allows the city to make significant investments in public safety, technology, environmental monitoring, and enforcement capabilities without directly impacting the city's general fund. Here are the various goals that are associated with this item as they relate to the strategic plan. So goal E2, E3, E6, E10, and F10. And the recommendation is to adopt a resolution identifying the city manager and financial services director to act as the official designees to accept the grant from the Proposition 64 Public Health and Safety Grant Program and authorize the city manager and financial services director to execute any and all documents related to the grant. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So on this one, I think I'm gonna start off just a little bit. So just to be clear, this is, first of all, this is great news. We like to get grants, and this is an area related to cannabis that we have aspired to do some things, but finances has not allowed us to do them in relation to both working with our legal cannabis operations here, but also maybe more importantly, also dealing with illegal cannabis that's still happening in our jurisdiction and in our region where it affects our jurisdiction. So this is excellent news. And so I'm glad that this was sought and brought back, and it's a lot of money. So normally for our normal budget process, when we would spend anywhere near this amount of money, there would be a lengthy hearings about where that money were to go, and we would have some weighing after hearing public comment about priorities. So I think there's a little bit of alarm about this, including with me, about this spending plan, what exactly this means, because this was formed by staff, and I'm not faulting it, but it didn't get input from the city council and it didn't get input from the public. So the question then turns into, well, if we approve this and then when we authorize, the city manager and the finance director to sign all necessary documents, does that mean that these expenses are approved and the city is now on a spending spree, a hiring spree, because there's new positions in here? To buy all kinds of things. So maybe, I don't know, this is probably not for you, Eric, but maybe if we could have some clarification as to what a yes vote means tonight and how this would play out.
Sure. Well, let me start this conversation, and Eric may have some of the answers as he was a key facilitator for this process, working across multiple departments. So we are receiving a grant for $4.5 million. There were many more requests for funding from the departments than the $4.5 million. This grant cannot supplant existing expenditures. These are all new expenditures. And as well, it is focused on illegal cannabis. So this is not so much our licensed cannabis industry, but it is illegal cannabis, and that does involve a significant public safety element. So each of the groups that were involved in this grant were tasked with evaluating, assessing where those gaps were, what the needs were in each of those departments to combat illegal cannabis within this community. And I think that is where this spending plan came together with the different items that are in here that add up to the $4.5 million. There is some staffing, there is a full-time code compliance officer that is included within the grant for this 5-year period. There's also overtime for other staff in other departments. And again, this is all tied to the level of effort that is needed to combat illegal cannabis within the community. Each of the department heads, Chief Contreras, Acting Chief Sanchez, can speak to more of the needs their departments identified through this collaborative process that Eric led.
So would your intent to be to go item by item tonight to do that, or will that be coming at some future meeting?
If that's the intent of the council, we can do that. This spending plan is incorporated as part of the contract with the BSCC. As I mentioned in the lead-in to my comments, this does not circumvent our purchasing processes. So those large purchases that are in here would still go through our procurement process, and those would still be presented to the council at a future date.
So remind us what those are, what the...
$75,000.
So, for example, as has already been heard from public comments regarding flock cameras, for example, since that's $515,000, that would come back at a separate meeting to actually be discussed. And at that time, because I will say I'm a fan of a well-managed flock camera system, which I believe we have, but I do understand with the expansion like this, how we would want to do this in a transparent way and reiterate our policies in place, or if they are being touched up as they're touched up. For example, I would think that is an item, although like I say, I personally support a well-managed system, and I think that the benefits could also be highlighted from what we've already seen with what we have. But I am not comfortable just approving that and then moving forward without having that discussion as an example. So those items you're saying would come back. And then, and also there are other items like a Bearcat. I really think that may be quite useful. I'm again not against that, but I think that sometimes those types of items are seen as militarization, which I don't agree with, but I think that things like that also should come back for separate consideration. That's almost a $500,000 item anyways.
Yes, and for tonight, maybe it is helpful to have the chiefs speak to the unmet needs that were addressed through this grant application to provide.
Well, you can, but I don't want to also take 2 bites at the apple and have a short presentation tonight and then a longer discussion. I think I'm assured if there's going to be some discussion in the future, and I know you're saying, well, this is a spending plan going in. These can typically, I'm not saying that I would anticipate we would need to amend them, but they can typically be amended if for some reason.
There are provisions to amend that. And I think my suggestion for council is if it would help give the council more confidence as to how these decisions were made by staff that led to the submission of the grant application, Chief Contreras and Acting Chief Sanchez can speak to how those needs were elevated, and we can still go through that subsequent process as we expend the funds over this 5-year period of time. But if council would like a deeper explanation on the choices, the decisions to include
well, we could,
certain items.
Again, I would say in the interest of time, if we could do that briefly, but that wouldn't suffice in getting the public notice and comment, because although we did have a few speakers, this wasn't what I would call the level of transparency because it's an attachment to an item that just says approve a resolution. So,
yes, I agree. this is intended to be the receipt of the grant funding, not so much the purchase of the procurement or the decision to expend on each of those items. So, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, then, if you want to do that, you may proceed. And then we'll go back to council for questions.
I guess I'll add one last piece to add to Andy's comments. In the dialogue with the different departments and having the support of a consulting firm that had gone through that process, as well as navigating what the BSCC was going to allow for this program or this cohort, there was significant modifications and adjustments throughout the process from all departments that led us to identifying items or budget items that were budgeted within the staff report that were reflective of what the BSCC would, in fact, actually support in funding. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it to the chiefs.
Honorable Mayor and Council, so from the fire standpoint, as the council has been aware, since I got here, one of the things we've talked about is bringing our specialty programs, being able to deal with these type of emergencies. And since I've been here, we've already had two. Both happened to be illegal grow houses. They did illegal dumping. And what I believe is, and I'll talk about it on the strategic plan, but the two of the top three biggest issues. One is the illegal cannabis, because we don't know what's in there, and our people are walking into those type of scenarios. Number two is what goes up and down the 10 freeway and in the rail cars every day. Hazardous materials, millions of gallons that we don't know. So we had already started, if you remember, we got the AFG grant last year that was almost $1 million. We had already started the hazardous material training. One of the things that was short was obviously the equipment, the apparatus, the systems to build the whole program. For the fire standpoint, this is exactly that. It takes care of the vehicle. It takes care of almost $250,000 in equipment. That is a one-time purchase, and then there'll be some maintenance from that. So from my standpoint, it fit into what we were going, which was probably already looking at a 3 to 5 year plan. And I'll talk about it in tonight's strategic plan. We're now looking at probably 2 to 2.5 years. So from a public safety standpoint, and we all saw a couple months ago what happened in Orange County in Garden Grove. You know, once they get out of control, they're completely out of control. And I can tell you right now, Winchester, anything that we get from a hazardous material that happens here in Cathedral City, the closest unit is Winchester. So that was the third piece of why I believe the timing was right. We had already started the training. We'd already identified the need, and then this was the opportunity. So, any questions?
No.
Okay.
You just said Winchester, and I'm thinking, oh, good. Well, good thing that we are working on that Mid-County Parkway, because it'll help. Thank you so much.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council, as you're aware, this was a competitive grant. So bonus points were awarded for the enforcement aspect of it, meaning code enforcement, law enforcement, because it was primarily to focus on the illegal activities or grows that were occurring within our city. We did some research through our crime analysts to determine how many illegal grows we've had, how many we responded to. And as you're aware, this industry, it's a cash-only business. Well, when you start dealing with cash, it can be problematic when you're trying to do some enforcement, especially when it comes to illegal grows. That's where the public safety comes in. So regarding, I'll talk about the big issues, the Bearcat. We have never owned one in the Cathedral City Police Department. Anytime you've seen one, whether it be at the Spooktacular, Shop with a Cop, or any other event, we have to rely on our neighboring agency, Palm Springs PD, that does have one, so we'll ask for permission to borrow it. And then at that point, we're able to utilize it. As you're aware, having a piece of armor, you know, being former law enforcement is very critical, especially when you're dealing with these illegal grows. We all have heard of the Gil and Leslie incident. Well, that piece of armor was in the city of Indio during concerts when they had officers down. So they had to bring that armor all the way from Indio to Palm Springs to help not only deal with the officer down rescues, but also the evacuation of the neighboring businesses, the neighboring residents. So having a piece of armor is very critical in what it is we're doing, especially when we're going to focus primarily on the enforcement aspect in dealing with these illegal grows. So we also put in some overtime to do some undercover operations, to do some inspections. There was some money put aside as well for some drones. We're looking to add a potentially fourth drone. As you're aware, that's not only something that's utilized by the police department, but it's utilized by the entire city. Public Works utilizes it during this inclemental weather events, such as the flood that we experienced with Tropical Storm Hillary. Having that availability, knowing what resources were out there, what residents were still stuck inside and needed to be evacuated and how we could get to them. Also for the reimbursement through FEMA, being able to show them the video of what the damage was. Because when you say, well, there was a storm that passed through and a flood that came through Cathedral City, it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another to experience it with video and audio. So as you're aware, we believe that drone first responder program has been very critical. The other component I believe that a lot of residents have some concerns are our flock camera systems. We've all heard of what's transpiring with LAPD, and just so you know, they didn't cancel it, they just didn't renew their contract. They are looking to renew the contract, just making sure that the privacy provisions are in there. Since then, all agencies throughout the Coachella Valley, the chiefs of police have gone together. We've all reviewed our policies. We've reviewed our procedures, our training, what supervision we have, what auditing we have. I shared with the city manager today, there's a transparency portal that we have. If you go to the city website under the police department, it'll say transparency, and it'll show you exactly all the flock cameras we have, who we share it with, what we, some of the success stories we've had with utilizing flock cameras, and that's just to be transparent with the members of the community. Anybody can access it from home. We've also incorporated some of the training. Now in order to have access to that system, our officers and staff members are not only trained, but they go through a flock course where they're given a certificate. So they understand what limitations they have. It's consistently tracking, and we never share any information with any federal agencies. We only share information with other state agencies that share information with us. We don't include any fusion centers, any type of federal activity, or any type of individuals that work with ICE. And that's just through the state of California. There's also auditing that takes place monthly, where we just randomly go through the list of people who have accessed the system, what they accessed it for. They're required to put a case number beside it, so not only do we have a trail of who accessed the system, but the reason for the access for the system. And as you're aware, it just captures license plates, vehicle makes and models, and colors. And I can tell you our last two homicides would not have been solved without that technology. But there are strict guidelines, policies, procedures, supervision, and auditing that have been instilled within the program to make sure that it's not abused by anyone within our agency.
All right, thank you so much. That is quite helpful. And but like I said, as we go forward, I'm comfortable with approving this tonight. But as we go forward with the actual purchases, I think we should plan to do kind of just what you did, maybe a little bit more on each one of those, and talk about these, because these are items that are of concern to our public, and I think that the public deserves to have these noticed and to be able to make comments and to actually hear and verify the information that you're providing. So that was helpful. That was more than I knew about the armored, because I've seen the armored vehicles, and I don't want to belabor that. We could ask you a dozen questions, but since that's going to come back at some point, for me, this is sufficient to at least move forward with this spending plan. But I will turn it over to other council, and I see Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez is first up.
Yes. Chief, I just have one question for you. When you said access, you mean access to the information on the website, not access to the cameras, correct?
No, just information that's available, meaning how many times we've accessed the system that from within the PD. I'm sure you can bring it up on your computer now. It is something that we looked at. We will try and advertise through our social media campaign that It's a transparency portal. We want to put all the information out there to the public, so if they have any questions, they can see. We also put some of our success stories. As you're aware, the synagogue, the shooting that happened in LA, well, utilizing that flock system, we were able to track them down here in Cathedral City and take them in custody. That was an individual that had killed 2 people, and it was a hate crime that we actually received. Cathedral City PD received an award for that, for the apprehension of that individual, and that was used through the flock system, tracking his vehicle down to our city.
Our residents can access the information to those cameras, but not the cameras.
They cannot access the information to the cameras. It's just the information is provided as in who we share our information with, what other police departments only, and then also how many times our officers have utilized it within the last 30 days, because the information is only kept for 30 days and then it's gone. We own the information, not Flock. We don't share with any third-party vendors, neither do they, but it's just a transparency portal. I think once you take a look at it, you'll be fairly impressed with what is shared and shown for you.
I have heard what you mentioned in the past, and just recently on social media, the city of Coachella is trying to also install or purchase Flock cameras, and the public had exactly the same perception that the information was shared with other agencies, and there was so much misinformation that other agencies supposedly are doing, which we're not. And I actually stepped in and clarified what we're doing and also mentioned some of the success stories that we had with Flock cameras.
No, I appreciate that. I'm not sure if you're on the Nextdoor app. A lot of bad information gets posted, and then people run with that information as truth. So we can do a better job of getting out the actual facts. I know someone posted last week that the Flock camera system can log into your cell phone and controls that data and your location, and that's just untrue. It's just not true. A lot of bad information out there, but no, we appreciate any help that you can get in educating, but we can do a better job as well as the PD, just educating the public of what the limitations are and what we can and can't do with that, with the camera systems.
As you know, I'm a very big fan of Flock cameras and to bring justice to the victims and also for crime prevention. And that is, I would believe that's what's happening. So thank you.
I will tell you this, little known fact, the Flock camera system was not, it didn't come about through law enforcement. It actually came about through an HOA program in Atlanta, Georgia in 2017. They had a rash of break-ins, vehicle break-ins, and their surveillance cameras weren't capturing who was doing this. So all the residents got together and thought, hey, let's see if we can track license plates. And it grew to what it is today.
Good, interesting. All right, next in the queue is Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you. I want to first start by saying and reiterating, this is a very good thing for Cathedral City, and I don't want that to get lost in some of the detail that we're going to have to dive into in this. And I do, just to echo my colleagues, I do want to have a bigger discussion about Flock with a lot of, you've given us good information, but really some visuals and some background, particularly because it's under the youth development and prevention. And it says, prevent cannabis use and sales in youth-serving areas, which means that there are likely to be the perception that there are young people and families that are going to be caught up on these cameras. And so I want to make sure that we are extremely transparent about what's being captured, who's being captured, how it's being done. So just to reiterate what's been said, I think the more information, I love communications. So the more information that we can share, both as we're looking at procurement, but also in general, so that our public understands that this is not being used in nefarious ways that violate their civil liberties.
I couldn't agree more. I think education is a big part of this, and just sharing with the public what it's used for and who has access to it, and dispelling some of the rumors and speculation that go around on social media.
Thank you. And congratulations on this. It's huge.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Lamb.
Yes, and thank you so much for the presentation and congratulations. This is a big win. My question has to do with, it says, all projects must develop a local evaluation plan, an LEP. So I don't know whether that's, is that going to start after, if we decide to move ahead on this, and then that's when the local plan gets organized, and a person to evaluate it. Who is going to be doing that? Who's the one person that will do? Is that you?
So we're all just a little bit ahead of the game.
Okay.
What we're actually doing is we're waiting for the BSCC to provide us that information.
Oh, okay.
They've sent us a small list of things that they've requested.
Okay.
Kevin with finance has been helpful bringing a lot of those documents forward, but one of them is the resolution. The LEP portion is going to come through a series of webinars, and they are going to give us, I believe it's due 30 to 60 days after that webinar.
Okay, right.
More to come on that.
Okay, and that's what I thought. And then as an educator, we would get grants, wonderfully often, but it always had as part of the LEP plan, the plan what to do after it, because in the grant, we get people and things and stuff and projects and all that, and then at the end of the 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, there's just the stuff.
And then,
so that's always part of the, like, what do you plan to do? And then has all the interventions in the plan been successful, and how do you measure that?
Councilmember Lamb, you're absolutely correct. That portion, there is that 6-month timeframe after the termination of the grant period, which is so after that time, there is that continuing dialogue with the BSCC to ensure exactly what you just mentioned, that some of those thresholds or those benchmarks are being hit that the grant was intended to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor and council members, if there's concern over control of the purchases, you can add a 5th provision to your resolution that just says that the grant of authority that you've given in paragraph 4 of the resolution doesn't abrogate the council's authority to review and approve each item or purchased with the grant funds. I don't know that it's necessary, but if you're uncomfortable and if that helps you approve it, we can certainly add such a provision to the reso.
All right, I think we're going to come back to you, so don't lose that language. Thank you. But thank you for adding that at this time. Because we're going to go to public comments now. Are there any public comments on this item?
If you're a member on Zoom and you wish to make a public comment, please raise your hand. And I did not receive any request to speak forms. And I see no hands raised.
Excellent. All right, and we didn't have any written comments.
No, Mayor.
All right, we'll close public comments and come back. So the city attorney has suggested that we can add another layer that would guarantee that we would have greater review, and I look at it as not greater review for us, but a chance for members of the public to weigh in on these items. So if council is comfortable, I would move that we approve this item with the additional language as suggested by the city attorney.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Gregory and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez. Please vote. And motion carries. All ayes.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. City Attorney, for that suggestion. And again, congratulations, staff. I hope you're not anybody feeling that this is nothing but a congratulations and a kudos to all of you involved and all of you that will be involved in executing this. And from what I know of the department heads, they also believe that transparency and public review is important for all of these, so we will look forward to that process along the way. All right, with that, we'll move on to our next item. We're still on the legislative calendar. Legislative item 5B, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cathedral City authorizing city manager to conduct a feasibility study for tax increment financing districts, also known as TIF. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. And as we were just discussing procurement and purchasing, I think this is a good opportunity to say that this would require procurement. We are not prepared to do that just yet. So what we're talking about through this item really is a first step. This is more so than anything else, the preservation of opportunity, as Eric Becerril will discuss in his presentation. This is a layer onto the Opportunity Zone 2.0 program that he'll discuss in his presentation, and it preserves options and opportunities here in Cathedral City, and there will be future discussions as we get into those next steps, including the procurement. With that, Eric?
Welcome, Eric.
Thank you. Good evening again. So today we will be I will be presenting a resolution authorizing the city manager to conduct a feasibility study for tax increment financing, or TIF, districts. And the purpose of tonight's item is to authorize staff to evaluate whether tax increment financing could be an effective economic development financing tool for Cathedral City. This action does not establish a TIF district tonight. It simply authorizes staff to conduct a feasibility study and return to the City Council with findings and any future recommendations. So with that, I'll begin the presentation. So in June 2026, staff met with representatives of Cosmont Companies, a consulting firm, to discuss financing strategies for the future community center. During that meeting, and separate from the community center discussion, Cosmont recommended that Cathedral City evaluate tax increment financing districts as an opportunity that may overlap with Opportunity Zones 2.0 areas that are found within the city. At that time, staff sought authorization to preserve the city's ability to pursue these opportunities and during the state's filing periods. Although the state has since accelerated the filing deadline to July 20th, the opportunity to evaluate these financing tools remains valuable as the city continues to plan for future economic development and infrastructure investments. So tax increment financing, or TIF, is an economic development financing tool authorized under California law. Rather than increasing property taxes, TIF captures a portion of future growth in property tax revenues generated by new development and reinvests those funds into public infrastructure or other eligible improvements within those designated areas. So what I have here is just a brief bullet point of some of the different items, but what I'm going to do is move forward one slide and then to kind of picture person, so you can kind of see just a little bit of what the TIF is and what the other two items that I'm going to speak on and how they relate to Opportunity Zone 2.0. So TIF is simply a financing strategy. So it's a way for communities to reinvest future growth back into those areas that are going to grow. So it doesn't increase property taxes itself, but what it does is it allows for the formation of certain districts or authorities that then can define what those funds could be used for, whether it be infrastructure, roads, utilities, parks, and the other one, the Community Revitalization Investment Authority, that is geared towards having a little bit more flexibility for communities that are underserved and meet certain threshold criteria, and that really can help with things such as affordable housing or site improvements, things like that. Where the conversation stemmed from was the conversation around Opportunity Zone 2.0. And what this is a program that really incentivizes private development in certain census tracts. And right now it's undergoing an overhaul from version 1.0 to version 2.0, which is now a permanent program under the new legislation. And so this program, what it does is really allows for private investors or developers to look at areas that they can invest in and defer some of the gains, the capital gains that they have. So it allows them to find areas that they can invest these funds that otherwise would likely, not be able to be used for that type of investment. So Opportunity Zone 2.0 is becoming more attractive to investors, but what it does is it allows for there to be overlap, and the census tract designations themselves are undergoing right now a review by by GOBIZ, or the state, and those census tracts themselves, in order to be highlighted as ones that should be permanently instilled as part of this program, having an EIFD or a CRIA, a Community Revitalization Investment Authority, helps elevate that scoring for that census tract. So not all census tracts that are eligible are going to be picked by the governor's office. I believe 25% of them will. So that really has the cities to say, okay, well, we need to figure out ways to elevate our census tracts that could potentially benefit from additional investments. So just to touch on the discussion, yes, we're going to also talk about how the districts themselves, they're not being formed now, but what it does, it allows you all to sort of look at this from a holistic view, from a 50,000-foot view, and see if these financing tools are ones that the city could benefit from having in their toolbox. So for the fiscal impact for tonight, there is no fiscal impact. As stated, this is simply to look at a feasibility study that has not been budgeted, and the cost has not yet been determined. That's, of course, if there is interest in moving forward and exploring this, then we would bring that back to you all after we do some more research. Staff will conduct a procurement process to determine the cost of the study, and if funding is recommended, a future budget amendment would be brought back to City Council for consideration and approval. And again, although the state recently moved the filing deadline from July 25th to July 20th, preventing the city from submitting supplemental information on this Opportunity Zone census tract, there is a comment period, and in that comment period, we would then still provide that information to the state. So it'll still allow us an opportunity to show that there are certain areas, or that at least the city's exploring that opportunity. For the 5-year strategic plan, it meets goal F16. And the recommendation is that staff recommends City Council to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to conduct a feasibility study for tax increment financing districts. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So just clarification, though, the moving of the date means we don't get in on one level, but there are other levels, so the resolution is still important because that would then be shared with the state that we're moving forward?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll let other council go first. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Gordon?
Eric, you always bring ideas with vision, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for bringing this. I think it's a really interesting approach. Just to piggyback on what the mayor was saying, so we missed this particular deadline through no fault of our own. Will it come back again, or is our only opportunity the comment period?
So the Riverside County, in behalf of a lot of the cities, is submitting as many census tracts as they can in behalf of Riverside County, and particularly the Coachella Valley. So our census tracts were still added as ones that were recommended. That just because of this particular item or resolution wasn't paired with that, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to score less or more, but what this did do or would do is show the state that there's interest in having additional capital come into certain areas, whether it be through an enhanced infrastructure financing district or an EIFD or the revitalization authority. So it's really just showing the state that it's not solely reliant on the opportunity zone designation for investment that would defer capital gains, but it's saying these projects will get could potentially get additional funding through things like residual bonds or other types of bonding that could then be used to bring in infrastructure or address specific needs for those census tracts. And it's really, in this case, in the EIFD and the TIF and the CRIA, all of those within the census tracts could be refined even more. Let's say certain corridors that need specific enhancements, or there are certain areas of the community that are more geared towards arts and entertainment, and maybe having artists development that's privately developed, having funds that are injected by the city through infrastructure such as roads, streetlights, or whatever will help offset some of the costs from the private investment, which would, I guess, spur more development is the idea behind it.
And are these kinds of opportunities like cyclical that happens once a year, or do you know?
In this one in particular, it's a growing program. It's an evolving program. It historically was the 1.0. I'm not particularly sure if it's going to come back in the same format, but I know that the state's looking at revising this because they want to see it used more. Not a lot of communities use it as much as they probably anticipated for the first version, so they're really hoping that these revisions help spur more economic development in communities that need it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is Cathedral City a single census tract?
No,
or
sir.
Or is it divided into several?
It's divided into several census tracts. I believe we have, I want to say 5 that are eligible census tracts in our community, which is actually an anomaly because if you see the map itself of what they've designated as potential census tracts that are eligible for Opportunity Zone 2.0, Cathedral City is positioned having quite significant census tracts that are large enough to likely make an impact in those areas, and they're actually fairly separated out throughout the community. So I think that there's quite a bit of potential investment that could happen. But to answer your question, it isn't one census tract; it's multiple, and I can share that with the city manager, so he can share that with all of you as well.
Right. And to augment Eric's comments, the 5 census tracts, they're spread throughout the city. We have our downtown in Cathedral Cove, interestingly, that is in one of the eligible census tracts. The former Burlington Coat Factory, that's in another eligible census tract. There are 2 in the Whitewater neighborhood that are eligible. And then as well, the Dream Homes neighborhood, together with the Bachner property adjacent to it, that's in an eligible tract. So staff is working diligently to submit these tracts to Riverside County to really promote the most opportunity. We don't know what the governor is going to select, but for us to have more of those census tracts in the Opportunity Zone 2.0 program really creates the most opportunity for us to realize the benefit from that program.
Now, can you explain to me the difference between opportunity zones and a census tract?
Yes. So opportunity zones themselves are specific census tracts that the state has positioned as ones that would benefit from more development. That these specific areas don't necessarily mean that they don't have infrastructure, that they lack certain things. They actually may mean that they have such well-positioned infrastructure that they really could benefit from more development in those areas or different types of development. And so that Opportunity Zone itself is just a program that designates specific census tracts to allow for more investment from the private sector into those areas. Census tracts themselves are, I believe, and I don't want to speak out of terms, but I believe they're federally designated. I could look more into that, but they are designated through a governing board that looks at these specific areas as they relate to geographical location, population, so on and so forth. There's a lot of different criterias. My background isn't census, But I do know that there's a lot of technical information that goes into the development of the census tracts, but the two are separate and aside. One would be a program, and then one is a designated area that's created by a governing board.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up is Councilmember Lamb.
Okay, this is somehow it's hard for me to get my head around this. So let's say there's this opportunity zone, and it's the Buckner property. Let's say I'm a developer and I want to build a sports complex, and it's now we've all said okay to this, and it's now an opportunity zone. So what does that actually mean to the city? I don't know. I don't know how it's all working.
Yeah, no. So I'll take a couple of steps back and sort of.
I'm very slow.
This is a lot for staff too to process and go through. So I'll kind of walk through.
I just
first,
made up this.
Yes, no worries. So I'm going to walk through first opportunity zones. So opportunity zones are fundamentally different from a TIF. Because of the fact that they do not generate public funds. So opportunity zones themselves, what they do is they're federal tax incentives. And so they're federal tax incentive areas that encourage private investment from their own capital. So a private investor that wants to come into a community, let's say they'd like to develop a mixed-use project with all kinds of different uses on that property. What it allows, what the opportunity zone census tract designation allows for is for an investor that has the need to defer paying capital gains tax.
So the collaboration is I'm the investor and I talk to the federal government about I want to get this piece of property, and that's the route that it goes.
It can go
okay.
that route.
Okay. I just needed to. I need to have a picture.
Yeah. So the opportunity zone itself it's the census tract themselves. It's an area. It's a designated area with boundaries, and from that, the investor, if interested, obviously a number of things would need to happen to get to that point. But let's say they're interested in that area. It meets their pro forma. And they have the need to defer those gains, those capital gains, then they can opt to develop in that area. It could be a parcel that's for sale, or that they purchased, or that they already own that's within that census tract.
It's a federal tax deferment. Okay, got it. Thank you. It takes me a while.
No,
I'm sorry.
If it helps the council, we actually have at least one project from the Opportunity Zone 1.0 program in the city. This is the Newport 17 development project. So when you look at the project, it doesn't look any different. Really, this is just a different funding mechanism on the private side to attract investment.
I get it. It just takes me a long time. Thank you.
All right. So the resolution really deals with the TIF, and it seems that the city council and the city as a whole has made no secret that they wish to pursue developing infrastructure, and we recognize we're financially constrained. So using a tool like this seems to make perfect sense for that. I know the county is actually doing the what is it, EFIDs throughout Cabazon. They have one out in the East Valley. So I know they recognize this as a way to possibly assist in developing needed infrastructure. So I certainly support this, and I think this, again, congratulations to staff for finding this. And I think whether we have to work our way through these first rounds, I think it is useful, and I think it's something we should explore. So I would certainly support this. If there's no other questions from council, are there any public comments on this item?
Mayor, I did not receive any requests to speak forums. If you're a member on Zoom, if you'd like to comment on this item, please raise your hand. I see none, Mayor.
All right, now I'll return this back to council for further discussion or a vote on the resolution.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to conduct a feasibility study for tax increment financing districts.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Please vote. Councilmember Lamb, do you see the option on your screen? I do. And motion carries, all ayes.
I was reaching for a Jolly Rancher.
Thank you so much. All right, that item is concluded. Looking at the clerk.
Yes, Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. Next up on our agenda is item 5C, approval of a budget adjustment for the septic to sewer planning project and acceptance of additional funding and approval of additional scope of work for Arduro Inc. and Motor Inc. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an item council has seen recently, and Elizabeth Medina is here this evening to give a presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. My name's Elizabeth Medina, and I'm here tonight to talk about some adjustments to the septic to sewer planning project. Specifically, we are looking for approval of a project budget adjustment, acceptance of additional Clean Water State Revolving Fund grant funding, and approval of additional scope of work proposals for Ardura, who is our project design consultant, and Motor, who is the city's on-call surveyor. And this project aligns directly with our 5-year strategic plan, specifically Action B9 to continue work on the septic to sewer grant. So the city first pursued this project a couple years ago because we saw it was important to consolidate remaining areas still on septic to the municipal sewer system. And some benefits of that is increase in property value. It eliminates septic system maintenance, reduces odors from failing septic tanks, protects groundwater quality, and expands the amount of wastewater that can be treated and recycled for beneficial use. So in August 2024, we were successful in receiving just under $2.5 million of grant funding for a planning project that would convert 6 residential unsewered areas to the sewer system. And that was through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, which is administered by the State Water Board. And this is a map of those 6 areas included in the planning project. And we are working on this planning project with many agencies. The city is the lead for the planning project. I mentioned the State Water Board. They provided the grant and provide project oversight. Our consultant is Ardura. And then we are working very closely with CVWD and DWA, who will be the ultimate owners of the sewer system, depending on the jurisdiction in which the sewer is built. And I do want to just give some appreciation to both water agencies. They've been very helpful in this planning project, and it would not be where it is today without their guidance and help. And then we also have a new agency that we'll begin work with through this amendment, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or BIA, for coordination of right-of-way. And just to give you a quick project update of where we're at with our several phases for this project, our preliminary engineering reports were completed and approved by the State Water Board, and that let us begin the 3 other phases. Environmental review is in progress. I actually just today received the draft environmental packages from our consultant, so the city will begin review on those. And then our plan specification and estimates are also in progress. Currently, we just returned comments to our consultant on the 30% PS&E. And then lastly, our grant application is also in progress. And our expected completion date for the planning project is September 2027. We also do have a project website on cathedralcity.gov. Here, updates to the project are added as we have updates to give. I do want to just give one quick plug that we do have our property owner interest survey that we are accepting responses to until the end of today. And this is for the 3 single-family residential areas. to show interest in the project to help us with our construction grant funding. So if any members of the public are listening and have not had a chance to take that interest form, it is on our city website, and I'd greatly appreciate your response. And then we also right now have a link to a project community meeting that we held on July 8th for those single-family residential areas. We had a great turnout of about 50 residents, and there's a link to watch the full meeting on the website. So shifting gears to the additional scope of work and this amendment that I am requesting your consideration of tonight. Additional requirements were identified during the start of this project. Those included utility easements that are required on tribal trust land, specifically in the Royal Palms Mobile Home Park, and that is going to require Bureau of Indian Affairs approval. And then there was also additional design complexity that we have encountered from the initial plan of study that was developed for the planning grant application. And it's primarily in the mobile home parks as well. There's about 120 additional sewer connections, a 53% increase in sewer pipeline lengths within the mobile home park, and then there is going to be some downstream sewer upsizing from all these new units that we're adding to the sewer system. So therefore, we submitted an amendment request to the State Water Board in February of 2026. And at the end of May, we received approval on our amendment request. Specifically, the state approved additional funding of just under $95,000, and they authorized the increased scope of work, and they also granted an extension to the project schedule until the end of March 2028. You may recall I told you that we have the project planned to be done by the end of September 2027, but we did want to ask for a little bit of buffer because coordination with the BIA does not always follow the timeline that we may expect. So while we were at this, submitting this amendment request to the state, we wanted to add just a little bit of wiggle room in case that takes a little extra time. So looking at the easement approval and BIA coordination, we did ask for some cost estimates, first from Ardura, our project design consultant, and then also from Promoter, who is our on-call surveyor for the city. And we are recommending to proceed with Promoter because they provide the necessary scope of services at a lower cost, and they have experience with local BIA coordination within Cathedral City. So the total budget for easement approval and BIA coordination, we are recommending a $5,000 contingency, and that would be for title reports and maybe increased coordination that might be necessary with the BIA. And then the additional design services budget, Ardura submitted an amendment request totaling $298,360 for the additional design efforts. So that brings the total cost for this additional scope of work to $348,360. So we do have some project contingency remaining from our original grant award that was authorized by council when we first brought approval of the Ardura contract to you last year. That totals $253,461.44. If we looking at the additional scope of work, if we utilize the full contingency we have available, we're short just under $95,000. So that was the amount submitted to the state for additional funding, and that was, they approved the full amount. So that brings with the additional a grant award, the total grant awarded to the city to $2,568,969. And that full amount covers our current contract with Ardura, as well as these additional scope of work proposals, and therefore there's no fiscal impact on the general fund. So with that, the recommendation I'm asking of you tonight is to approve a budget adjustment for the septic to sewer planning project, utilizing this additional Clean Water State Revolving Fund grant monies awarded by the State Water Board in the amount of $94,899, and then authorize the city engineer to accept proposals from Ardura and Famotor for that additional scope of work necessary to complete the project, and the amounts are listed below. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the presentation, and to you and your colleagues for your work on this important project. All right, City Council, questions? Let's see, I don't see any, but am I working? No questions on this one. All right, do we have any public comments on this item?
If you're a member on Zoom, please raise your hand if you wish to comment on this item. And Mayor, I did not receive any request to speak forms, and we have no hands raised.
All right, thanks so much. Return it back to council for further discussion, questions, or a vote.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Please vote. And motion carries, all ayes.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move on with our legislative calendar. Next item, item 5D, is ratify the nomination by Councilmember Ross to appoint John Rivera to serve on the Planning Commission for a 3-year term set to expire on June 30th, 2029. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a nomination made by Councilmember Ross, as the prior individual, Todd Hooks, was unable to serve after council nominated him at your prior meeting in June. So she has submitted John Rivera as the selection she would like to move forward to City Council.
All right. City Council, any questions or comments?
Great addition.
He's experienced, and we do know his work. That's true, and I know he was involved in the development code process, which is still ongoing. So City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
If you're a member on Zoom and you wish to comment on this item, please raise your hand. And Mayor, I did not receive any speaker slips. And I see no hands raised.
All right, return it back to council for questions, discussion, or a vote.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Please vote. Motion carries, all ayes.
All right, and now we're on to our special reserved item from the fire department that we moved from the study session, our new item 5E, which is the Cathedral City Fire and EMS 2027-2029 Strategic Plan, Process Overview, and Stakeholder Engagement Update. That's quite a title. Mr. City Manager, would you like to introduce the chief?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I know I've referred to a number of items tonight as exciting or good news. This is another one of those. And I think this is a great opportunity to reflect on the success the fire department has had over the years, and then as well to look ahead and to plot a course moving forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Contreras. Chief.
Thank you, City Manager. Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. This is really something that we just need you to receive and file, but it is a critical part, I believe, of the fire department, and it's part of our accreditation. So in 26, our plan, our previous strategic plan has expired. So we need to start this process, and we're being very methodical. The last strategic plan, I was new here, and we were just trying to get something down. And we had identified with the previous city manager kind of, okay, these are the broad strokes of what we need to get done. This is a much more methodical, thought out, it's gonna be a much more deliberate, and as the mayor said earlier in one of his comments, it's a very transparent process. Everything that we do in the fire department will be part of this plan. The reason I have the QR codes up there is we have started this outreach. We started back in April. We reached out to certain stakeholders, the Senior Center, the Boys and Girls Club, other HOAs, and we did on-site outreach to them. We've got, I think it's 1 or 2 more that we're gonna hold at Fire Admin. I've met with some of the council to try to get your input. So what we bring to you roughly in November will be what not only myself, but the executive team working with the city manager, I've already presented to city staff, it's going to be a much more comprehensive and what I would call much more of a sniper approach. We are going to attack the areas that we really believe that are critical. As the council knows, you've been, and you should have a copy of this. We realize that on your screens it could be small, so I wanted you to, so you could follow it. But this is designed to be the roadmap. We're going to start with what are our real risks, and I had already talked about it with the hazmat. We saw it during Hurricane Hillary. Swiftwater Rescue, and some of the areas that we need. Then, what direction do we want to go? Is it something that we all want? And when I say all, council will ultimately have final approval of this before we put anything into play. Budget justification. The reason we're timing this is so when we get to November and we start that budget process at the end of the year, we're going to have a plan that you've said, yes, this is the way I want the fire department to go, and then we will support that either in redistribution of our current budget or come to you with other budget requests. But everything in that budget that we do in the next 2 years will be very specific to the strategic plan. Performance checkpoints, as I'll show here, and that we've been very deliberate on with our analysts, is our dashboards. Exactly what are we doing, how are we doing, and what are the outcomes that we're shooting for? Did we hit them or did we not? Continuous improvement. As the council knows, we're not going to just stand still. We're going to constantly get better, and I believe that between the executive team that we currently have, our young firefighters, the good thing about young firefighters is they're very eager. So we'll constantly be looking to do that. Planning for the future. So part of this will be, let's say maybe 20% is what do we actually anticipate, not in this next fiscal year, but the one after that. So that makes sure that we stay in alignment and we're not doing things that are going to be thrown out in a couple of years, but really give us that long-term planning. Stakeholder alignment. Again, we've already reached out to them. What are they looking for? Our community partners. I can tell you the feedback I've gotten, they really like their fire department being involved in the community and they want more of it. And then finally, resilience and preparedness. What are those things, such as the EOC? What are those things that we're doing for that long-term preparedness? So where did we start? I already talked about the previous strategic plan. We've talked about this many times. Accredited, ISO, only one in the Coachella Valley, fully staffed. HR talked about it today. The job offers are out there. All our positions are filled. We are quickly becoming, I'm not going to say we're quite there, but we are becoming a destination fire department. And having a strategic plan allows me to share with those people that are coming on board, this is what we have. We're going to provide $1 million worth of training. We're going to provide the best ambulances. We're going to provide new fire service. That's what will help us be and maintain fully staffed. Our medic units, and I'll talk about what our data supports, but you provided them to us and they're being used. Because we have more units, we can decrease our turnout time, the time it gets to get there. And then I talked about training. We've increased that by 138%. Again, this is just more of the same data, but what I want you to take away from this is I drive my analysts nuts because I want data. I want to be able to justify everything we're doing. So what does this tell us? We're getting there a minute faster. Our calls, and this is over 3 years, I'll present some one-year data, but 10% more calls. I anticipate from what I've seen, we are getting busy. We're getting busier. I don't think that we are running more calls, but what it is because we have more units available, we're more accessible to the community. We look at our revenue. Okay, that was a big thing. We work with finance. Okay, we do these estimates. Our estimates, we are getting almost right on to where we can anticipate based on call volume, a certain percentage are going to be transports. That percentage on average is this amount returned, and we're tracking this by quarter. So does our quarter align up with what we think we're going to be getting in revenue? This is looking at call volume as it relates to transports and what are those percentages. This is the final one. I know it's a little small, but this is the dashboard that I get run and I share with the city manager when we meet every 2 weeks. Where's our year-to-date revenue? Where's the estimate? So you can see the estimate was 5.2 million. That's total reimbursed. We were 5.6. So we were over 400,000 above where we thought we were going to be. We look at the collection rate. What is that percentage? When I got here, we were at 62%. We're upwards almost 64%. So these are all the different metrics that are going to dictate what we're going to do and how we get, so that when I come to the council, and my goal is at some point for this to be up on the department's website. This should be something that everybody can see. It shouldn't be secret. Our days that it takes to get reimbursed, we were almost at 90 days when we got here. We're at 56. That's a big part due to our analysts and staff. As soon as we get those, what they call EPCRs, we're getting them pushed right out to the billing company. What's our payer mix? This is something that we really worked hard on. This can tell, if you look at a large portion, almost 80% is Medicare, Medi-Cal. That's a different payer mix. Even though the council approved a fee increase, we're regulated that we're only going to get so much from Medicare, Medi-Cal. That again, if I know that payer mix, that's going to tell me to work with Kevin and say, here, this is what I can anticipate that we're going to have next year. The number of trips that and how that 2,100 transports, how it breaks down in the amount of time it takes us to receive it. The rest of the numbers are just the other revenues. On your right, the monthly payment trends. That's the next big piece that I want to start to get a more of a predictive model. But you can assume that it's the snowbirds in January, but is it? That's not consistent with the previous year. So we're looking at all this data as we start to build this strategic plan. We want to make sure that we plan for community growth. If we see a certain spike in a certain area, that's going to tell us that, hey, maybe we need to tweak this. And I want to be clear, the strategic plan is a roadmap. It doesn't mean that we could get a year into it and go, hey, we're seeing these trends and we need to kind of shift this. But it does allow us to anticipate those trends and what our needs are ahead of time. I already talked about it. It's huge. This will be the first one where this next budget cycle where it's very deliberate. I say it's going to be like a surgeon's scalpel. We're going to fine tune it. We're going to get it right where we need to get it. And we won't be coming to you for anything that is not necessary, is not needed, but is also approved by you. And then operational maturity. As our crews get more seasoned and they get better, we're going to have better capabilities. We'll have more capabilities. I've made it very clear. We got to ISO 2. I want ISO 1. I believe that's better for everyone. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to get it, but you got to have goals, right? And we got to shoot for those. One thing that we have heard from the community as far as our outreach is their desire for the fire department and that what they believe is the most important does fall into public safety. They've identified that that's important. And we saw that with Measure W. I think that's critical too. They want a responsive fire department. Again, I've talked to the stakeholders. They like that we're out there in the community. At the Splash event, right? They like that. They want to see that. The fundraisers at the Boys and Girls Club. And they want to see the expanded services. Now I don't by any means think that gives us an open checkbook to go do whatever we want. But we've set a new standard for what Cathedral City Fire should be, and that is reflected in what the community has told us they want. We've already started the external engagement, internal analysis, plan development. This will be, the initial will be with the executive team. The team, we've got Chief Webb here, my other 3 BCs that are currently working. They're young, they're the future, and with the 5 of us, we're going to get together and put together a comprehensive plan. We will still look at our SWOT analysis that I do all the time. We have different strengths today than we did 3 years ago. We also have some weaknesses, right? But we don't have as many. There's opportunities in the future, and then really how does that fit within the timing? Then we will get that, we'll get with the city manager, again, run it through the city staff, and then bring it to the council for adoption. It will be your plan. That is going to be a key piece, is it has to be your plan. It can't just be the fire chief's. This is kind of the 12-step process that CPSE requires us to go through. It's more of what I've already talked about. Today, if you're going to ask me today, what are our top 5 priorities? It's apparatus and fleet. I'm going to apologize for this. I keep saying the engine and truck are coming, but they really are coming. It's in California. But because we're running a fleet, because we've increased calls, increased transport, we're going to need to, instead of saying we have some fire engines, some ambulances, we're building a fleet. And with fleet comes maintenance and comes replacement, right? Training and development. Because we're so young, we've got to continue not only to get them up to a certain level, but we also succession planning. There should never be a day where you have to go outside for a fire chief or for any rank. That's my goal. Can we get there forever? You never know with retirements, but that's really the focus there. Technology and data. I probably don't look like a data nerd, but I really am. I love it, and it really really helps us make those decisions and ask the same question maybe in 3 different directions, and does it still come up the same way? Personnel and succession planning, like I said, in one aspect, we're fully staffed, but I can tell you we're sending 3 people to medic school that are AOs, which is exactly what we wanted. It's the bridge program. We're giving them careers. I'm going to have to hire 3 more ambulance attendants. So that's going to be a constant turnover at the lower levels, but hopefully be able to give them opportunities at the firefighter and moving up. And then finally, what are those expanded response capabilities? And that's where we're talking about the hazmat, the swift water rescue. You know, if you haven't listened to the news, we're expecting a super El Nino. So what does that mean for us? That means a lot of rain in the winter. So are we prepared for it? Is our we don't have a swift water rescue team today, but you know what? We will by the end of the year. And those are all the capabilities that we're gonna need to really be that cutting edge. But like I said, I wanna be clear, I'm not asking for an open checkbook. I wanna be able to put a deliberate plan in front of you and say, hey, this is roughly what I see. Is this what you want? And then the decisions can be made from there. So it's not something that it's going to sit on the shelf. We will align it with our capital asks, our personnel asks. Do we need more people? Do we not? But it will be justified. And then operational. What do we need additional? This is the accountability. There's going to be a scorecard, right? Ultimately, I want a fully transparent, I want a real-time dashboard. The technology people tell me that's a lot harder than, I make it sound a lot easier than it is, but I think that's where we need to be. That way we have basically a daily scorecard. That's really where it should be. But at a minimum, a quarterly, there'll be a coordinator for everything that's in there, every goal. There's somebody who's assigned that. That is the person who's accountable for that. Ownership, so for EMS, for all those other ones, there'll be people that are responsible for that. Annual full review, so it is a 3-year plan. Some people do 5-year plans. I don't think that's realistic in the fire service right now. Things are moving too fast. Trigger-based review, if we get to a certain point, like 80% of our goals are obtained, then maybe we need to step back and say, maybe we thought this was gonna be a 3-year, maybe it's only a 2-year. And then reporting out, just like you saw with our accreditation that we had to do, same thing, we do something like this and put out what we've done in our accomplishments. This is just more of the same of the process. And with that, I'll take your questions so the mayor can go home and have dinner.
Eventually. Right. Thank you so much, Chief, for the presentation and for putting this plan together. I know I'm particularly encouraged as you're tying it to the budget because we are part of your team in trying to build a better fire department for the community, as well as you are part of the community team. And as things come up, we need to they need to match the budget, because what happens is, as you've seen, mid-cycle things come up, and we've already made tough choices, and other departments are moving forward on their objectives, and it becomes really tough to try to fund things. So it's best to get ahead of that. So I appreciate so much your efforts in that area. Council, do you have any questions? I can't find the item here. There it is. So I don't know if anybody's chimed in, but
I don't have any
Senator
questions. I
Lamb?
thank you very much for the presentation, and I too am a data person. And I heard this from my superintendent years ago, and she said, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. And I love that because that helped me, and our team make decisions that were right for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, Chief, thank you so much for your presentation. One thing that it really brings a smile to my face is seeing the budget of the ambulance, the revenue that is coming in. You weren't here, but before I became a council member, we were in a deficit when it came to the ambulance department. And I'm happy to see that there's actually revenue, and the revenue is not a deficit. It's actually nearly $5.5 million now, and possibly could reach $6 million when we were in a deficit of, I recall, $1.3 million deficit per year. So I'm really encouraged to see what you're doing, and just really happy to see all your goals and everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So this is a receive and file, so
That's it.
I don't believe we need a vote on this, but we do appreciate the presentation and receiving. We look forward to, as you continue to fully develop this, to how it goes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. All right.
And Mayor Gregory, we'd like to ask for public comments.
I would. Are there any public comments on this item?
If you're a member on Zoom and you wish to comment, please raise your hand. And I did not receive any request to speak forms or written comments. And I see no hands raised, Mayor.
All right, we'll go back to the end of the agenda. We're not quite done. We did complete our closed session, so we don't have that anymore, and we did report out. But we do have a discussion on future agenda items. Council, I know we're moving forward with many things. We've heard some things tonight that should be included in the development code, so I don't see a need right at this point to do a separate item on those, but we will continue to work that out, and I know staff has been listening as making sure those are included. So if there's nothing else, thank you so much for your patience, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.